Peace. In order to know certain things or to gain certain information, pertinent information that can aid in saving the lives of yourself as well as others, is to understand the power of silence and how silence can also utilize itself to help you expose and see the truth in external factors outside of self. Not only does silence work well with self, but it works very, very well outside of the self. You understand what I'm saying? Because see, we're in a society where noise takes precedent over everything, and we got air noise, we got air pollution, we got noise coming from the airs, from the airplanes, we got noise coming from the roads, from the cars, and so on and so forth. And we got noise most of all coming from people. You understand? People are always talking, chittering, chattering, so on and so forth. And then we got that inner noise that comes from our own selves, taking in the information and the external energies all day long. And a lot of that can be detrimental to the person if they're not careful. You know what I'm saying? In many other ways, it can be very detrimental. So my thing is this: when it comes down to the science of silence, complete absence of sound, there's a reason for this. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why that individual goes quiet under certain circumstances, conditions, and in certain environments. Quietness becomes a tool. You understand? Because see, when you're around chitter chatter, when you're around people who are constantly talking and running their mouths and exercising a bunch of BS, you can begin to differentiate between the real and the fake with silence. That means you don't participate or interact with any type of rhetoric or illogical information that's being presented. See, you find out it's illogical when you go silent. When you really begin to listen, to observe, and to really hear what this individual is saying or what they're not saying, you begin to see. You understand? So with me also, silence is the science of me not allowing you to know where I'm at. See, if you don't hear me speaking, if you don't hear me constantly chitter chattering and running my mouth, you don't know what's on my mind. See, the only time you know what's on a person's mind is because the way they share it through action. They show you what's on their mind. They do things, they say things, they can constantly talk. You know what I mean? But a lot of times we constantly talk. Many of us sell wolf tickets. And when you go silent, you can begin to see these things. You understand? And it's the same with social sites such as Facebook and other things of that nature. We go silent on these places, on these sites, and remove ourselves from these sites because we can no longer be quiet. And that's the wrong place to not be quiet on. You understand what I mean? Because the way that we are speaking technically could cause a problem for those who are sitting silent and listening into the conversations. You understand what I mean? Because see, everybody's being silent right now. The silence is it's a science behind silence. You can gain so much information about self as well as outside of self by being silent. It's like the cat who goes to prison and never has a problem because he doesn't open his mouth. The other prisoners don't even want to deal with this dude because they really don't know where his mind is at. They really don't know what he's thinking because he doesn't open his mouth to share with you what he's thinking. He just execute when it's time to do whatever needs to be done. See, so when we hear certain types of information and when you run your mouth and say certain types of things, you are indicting yourself when you make certain statements. And then when you make certain statements and you don't follow up on the statements, you are indicting yourself. You see what I mean? Because a real gangster is not going to give you their movement. They're just going to move. A real scientist, they're not going to tell you, the experiment. They're just going to make the experiment happen. You understand what I'm saying? So silence is a golden rule. Silence is sacred. You got to understand that it's discipline to be silent. You understand what I mean? Because it takes silence for you to be able to see clearly. And I'm not talking about with your two eyes, but to be able to see with your divine eye or your mind's eye. Because everything around you is spirit. You just don't know it. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're looking at people, you're also looking at the spirit in the individual. And you can see it exude through the character of the person. So when you're sitting in silence, not only are you observing the deity in you or the devil in you, but you're also observing that outside of self. You know what I'm saying? And everything else. So you know how to deal accordingly and know how to maneuver yourself. Learn how to be quiet. We talk too much. You know what I'm saying? When you get on sites talking about what you're going to do, you've already warned and giving a warning to the very same system that you're trying to, alter or change with positive influence and whatever means necessary. You're trying to change it, but you don't have to share that information with a billion people. You understand? This is the same reason why systems like society, what we call the Illuminati and this music crap and all of this, whatever you want to call it, the reason their plans constantly get exposed because see, the person who wants to keep a secret, they can't really keep secrets. They got loud mouths. They can't keep it. They can't. So what they do is they begin to let the secret out with signs and symbols because they can't keep it in. It's like the serial killer. He wants to get caught. And it's the same thing with the secret keeper. They want to get caught. They can't keep the secret, which is why they continuously have to go back to the drawing board and rework their conspiracy and their plans because they're constantly getting exposed because they talk too much. You know what I'm saying? And they do it through signs and symbols. And many of us today can read signs and symbols. You understand what I'm saying? And I suggest that we continue to read the signs and the symbols. And again, learn what learn what silence really is. Silence is to your benefit when you use it properly. There's a discipline in silence. You understand what I'm saying? And it's going to benefit you. Trust me when I tell you that. On that note, learn how to be quiet. Peace.